Hello, today we're going to look at where relationships or patterns are proportional or non-proportional, and we're going to build on what we've already learned in patterns. So a proportional relationship or a proportional pattern is where if we drew a line through, if we plotted our pattern, I should say, our straight line would go through the origin, and we know that this is the origin. The origin is at 0, 0. That's our origin point. So if we have a straight line pattern, a linear pattern that goes through the origin, that means that we have something that's called proportional. One thing is proportional to the other. Now the reason why we call it proportional is because they're effectively like in a fraction to each other. They're in a particular relationship to each other. So if we double x, we would double y. If x got twice as big, y would get twice as big. So that is why we call it proportional. So we can identify it by, if we draw our graph and it's a linear pattern that goes through 0, 0, it is a proportional relationship. And it has this important quality that if one thing gets 3 times bigger, the other thing gets 3 times bigger. If one thing gets half as big, the other gets half as big. And that's where the word proportional comes from. Proportional and ratio and fraction have very close meanings to each other. Now, something that's non-proportional just means that it's anything that doesn't go through the origin. So it doesn't actually have to be a straight line, but that's usually what we'll deal with. So if we drew a graph of our relationship of our pattern of our points like we have before, if that line doesn't go through the origin, then it is not proportional and it doesn't have this quality of doubling one thing and doubling the other. So those are the meanings of our two words. Now let's go into an example. Anna saves €10 in an account each week. So we have a bank account and we're going to save €10 in it each week. And based on the diagram, the table I've been given, I can see that we started off with €0 in the account. And each week we're going to add €10 more into our account. So at the first week, we're going to put in €10. In the second week, we put in another €10. So we'll have 10 plus 10 is €20. In the third week, we'll add another 10, so we'll end up with €30. In the fourth week, we add another 10 and end up with €40. And in the fifth week, we would add in another €10. 10 plus 40 is €50. So we can see how our pattern would continue if Anna kept saving €10 every single month. So that is our pattern effectively. So this would be these would be our terms in our pattern. These would be our Tn. So this would be T1, T2, T3, T4. Sorry, my apologies. That is not quite correct. T1 would be here because that is after our first week, second week, third week, fourth week, fifth week, and obviously this would keep going. After 6 weeks, we'd have €60. And up here we have our numbers for our terms, so our first, second, third, fourth, fifth term, and we'd have our 0th term here. Now, what that means is, if we're graphing our weeks against the money that we have saved in euro, then we would start off with 0, 0. So I'm going to plot this in blue. We'd start off at the origin at 0, 0, and we put a dot there. And 0, 0 is our 0 and 0 are our smallest weeks and money values, and our biggest weeks value is 5 weeks. So we put down 5. So we have to go between 0 and 5 on our weeks, and we have to go between 0 and 50 on our money. So we have to label in this axis here. So I've put in 5 marks and I'm going to put in 10 euro, 20 euro, all the way up to 50 euro, because that's the highest number that I need to get to in my graph. So again, just like any other graph that we would do, we look at our smallest and biggest X values, or weeks values in this case, smallest and biggest Y values, or money values in this case, and we write them in, and then we're in a position to do plot our points. So we have 0 weeks, 0 money is at the origin, 0, 0. And then after 1 week, we have 10 euro. So 1 week, 10 euro. 2 weeks, 20 euro, start at the origin. In 2 weeks, up 20 euro. 3 weeks, 30 euro. In 3 weeks, up 30 euro. 4 weeks, in 4 weeks, up 40 euro. And in 5 weeks and up 50 euro. And obviously on your graph paper, you'll be able to draw that neater than I can. But because this is a linear pattern, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw in a straight line. Because for our linear patterns, our linear graphs, we can use a ruler to draw in between our points. Now, again, this is a linear pattern because I can use my ruler to draw a straight line through my points within my ability to be accurate without a grid behind me. And I can see from this that this is a proportional relationship. So this is proportional because it goes through the origin. It's a straight line relationship that goes through the origin. So this is a proportional relationship. And if we look at it, when we have 1 week, we have 10 euro. If we make the weeks 3 times bigger, so if we go up to 3 weeks, we now have 3 times as much money, we have 30 euro. So we have this rule that if X gets twice as big, so say if the weeks get twice as big, we'll do it from, if we have 2 weeks and we go up to 4 weeks, that's twice as many weeks, we go from 20 euro to 40 euro, so we get twice as much money. So we have this relationship for our proportional situations, where if one thing gets twice as big, the other thing gets twice as big. So if weeks gets twice as big, money gets twice as big, and so on. Now, building on this, after how many weeks will Anna have saved 210 euro? Well, I could just keep writing out this list and I'll eventually figure it out. But what I really want to be able to do is to be able to figure out how much money she'll have after any number of weeks. And anytime I get a question like this, I'm better off getting my TN formula. So I'm going to go to my log tables and we're going to write down TN is equal to A N plus minus 1 times D. I know that A is my first term and D is the difference between the terms. And I get that formula on page 22 in my log tables. So let's write down what we've got here. I'm interested in A is the first term, so that's T1. So A is the same as T1, so that's 1. D is the difference between the terms, and I can see I'm saving 10 euro a week, so I'm going up by 10 euro each week. So my difference is 10 euro. Sorry, my apologies. The first term is 10. My apologies. We have at the end of the first week we have 10 euro. So my first term is 10 and my difference between my terms is also 10. So then I am going to put my numbers in here and see if I can find my value for n. What I also know here, What is 210 in this case? 210 is one of the terms in my list. So I also know that Tn is equal to 210. So I can put all of those values, I can substitute all of them into my formula. So 210 is equal to 10 plus n minus 1 on 10. And now I can multiply in this bracket just like I'm doing all the time for these questions. I have 210 is equal to 10 plus 10n minus 10. And then I have 10 minus 10 is 0, so I have 210 is equal to 10n. And then I divide both sides by a 10 to find n, my number of weeks. And when I put that in my calculator, I get n is equal to 21 weeks. So after 21 weeks of saving, I'm going to have 210 euro. And that is how our formula works, and that's how we spot our proportional relationships. Is it a straight line that goes through 0, 0, that has a starting point at 0, 0? If it is, then it's proportional. And if it doesn't, then it's not proportional. And that's what we need for now.